Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulihil Kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man istanna bi sunnatihi ila yawmiddin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. This week, inshallah ta'ala, we'll go through this 19 ayahs of the Surah Al-Imran. We already started some ayahs, some comments from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about the Battle of Uhud last week as we went through the few ayahs before this. But those ayah has just a starting of the Battle of Uhud, what happened, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the speech to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to encourage the Sahaba to fight. And also one of the important things that we learned last week, that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised them to help them. Just like He helped in Battle of Badr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that I will give you 3,000 angels. And then Allah said, if you believe and if you do like this, maybe I'll give 5,000 angels. So all these things we knew about last week. So today all this ayah actually about again the Battle of Uhud. Most of the ayah indicate some of the incident of the Battle of Uhud. And as we go through the ayah, we'll talk about that incident. And some ayah are general ayah, the instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or just to show the majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or just some ayah that for the Muslims, for the believers. So inshallah we'll start quickly because it's few ayahs today, but as normal I'll try to go through as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. So these few ayahs, for the first three ayahs, Allah is saying, the both side saying, Allah saying, if a own touch you, meaning and the word Arabic word used here, it means it's something that barely touch you, something not, it's called karhan. In Arabic, karhan, there's one thing called karha, one thing called zarha. Zarha means if you really have a scratch, you have bleeding or something, that is kind of own. And karha means something swelling, like if you have a mosquito bite or something like a spider bite, something like small, like in English you can say barely some pain. So Allah is saying both sides, like you are thinking today to believe, Allah saying to the believers that something has happened to you, you have been distressed, you have been wounded. Same way the other party also get wounded in the Battle of Badr. So Allah is saying that both sides has this issue, and then Allah is saying this change of time. Sometimes we say time change. What does time change mean? It is not like 20 years before. It is not like the time of our father, grandfather. So we say time has changed. So Allah is saying this kind of change. Someday you get hurt, someday other party get hurt. Someday you are rich, someday other people are rich. This change is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is trying to say that, and this change is for test. So our lesson from this ayah that all the changes that happen in our life, some people start their life with struggle, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them money and establishment and everything. The other way also happens. So everything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someday we are sick and then Allah cure us. Some people are so healthy, then Allah give them sickness. So everything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is saying that and Allah is saying we alternate among people so that Allah make evident to those who believe and take to Himself from among the martyrs. So Allah is also mentioning that there are two goals for this test. That Allah is taking a test by the Battle of Uhud. There's two kind of tests. One is to see that who is really following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the second one that Allah wants some people, Allah wants some believers to come to Him very quickly as a shuhada. Because in Battle of Badr there is no shaheed. Some injuries happen to the Muslim. This is the time that almost 70 Sahaba, the great Sahaba, Hamza also, all the Sahaba and other Sahaba, they passed away. So Allah is saying, Allah wants, this is also test. What you have in this dunya, something better is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you get shaheed. And then Allah is saying, Allah does not like the wrongdoers. So Allah is telling them, don't think that the way to say Allah doesn't like the wrongdoers means, don't think that they are winning today. That this believer winning today, this is from Allah, that Allah loves them and Allah gives them winning. No. Allah gives them the win because it's a test from you. And there are some other reasons we will go through that. This is the reason that Allah gives them the win. But it doesn't mean that Allah start liking. Why Allah say these things here? Because in Medina, this is on the second year of Medina. Muslims are new here. They are not like us. We are born in Muslim family. Our father, grandfather, forefather, all are Muslims, right? So we grew up, but they are a new group. A new prophet is standing in front of them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they are listening to him. So it is very difficult to have their hold their iman inside their chest because so many changes happen. And now they are giving their lives away from him. Imagine you just joined a group and that group demands that you die for the prophet that you are following, die for the leader you are following. It is a great demand. So that's why Allah giving this ayah to boost up their iman and everything. And then Allah is saying that, Allah tried to purify, with this test, Allah tried to purify the believers. It's a big test, for the believers, and Allah, this is the reason that Allah purifies the believer the way that Allah wants. And also, in Ayah 40, Allah says, do you think? Allah asking them, so do you think? We start with the or, meaning, these are the tests, this is the reason for the test. Or do you think that you're going to go to Jannah just like this? And this ayah also we found in Surah Al-Baqarah. And we mentioned this one, and Allah telling this kind of Sahaba, the Sahaba who are ready to give their lives, and they gave their lives. 70 of them already owned it. Rasulullah, himself became injured. Allah telling them, do you think you're going to go to Jannah just by doing all this? And imagine our situation. What do we do for the deen? And we think that we are ready for the Jannah. So it's not like this. Allah is saying, no, do you think it's going to make easy? Then Allah is saying, until I make sure that people who really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people who are really steadfast in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will go to the Jannah inshallah ta'ala. And then Allah is saying, no, and you had certainly wished martyrdom. The last ayah 143 here is about the incident, when the battle of Uhud happened, like just before the morning of the battle of Uhud. It was on a Friday morning, if you remember, when we discussed in the Surah class. The main plan of the senior Sahaba, including Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they will fight inside the Medina. They will fight from inside the Medina, because Medina has different alleys and everything. So they can hide in different places, and when the enemy comes, they can attack, because this is their city, they know the city. Okay, they don't want to go to the open field. It is not a wise idea as initially thought. But some of the young Sahaba who didn't take part in Badr, they became Muslim after the Badr, or maybe they were young at that time, that year. So now they're young and they're enthusiastic. They say, no, we are not, we are not coward. We want to go in the open field and fight like a man, and they want overzealous, they say very enthusiastic. And they say, okay, we don't do this. And because they are putting all these options and everything, and Rasulullah saw their, encouragement, Rasulullah decided, okay, I will go with you one. And then Rasulullah put the armor, if you remember, and then the senior Sahaba told the younger Sahaba, what did you do? Rasulullah is saying he will fight from inside, and you're trying to convince him going outside. So the senior Sahaba went to Rasulullah and said, yeah, Rasulullah, we talked to these young people, they changed their mind, let's do as you planned. Then Rasulullah said, no, I already have decided, and this is the plan from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I will fight, and I have put the armor of the, it is not befitting for a prophet that he put the armor and then he take it off again. Because if we fight from Medina, they have to wait for the enemy to come from the outside to Medina. So he have to take the, the armor off, but it is not befitting for a prophet to take once he put the armor, and without going to the jihad, he can take it off. So they went to the battle of the, in the mountain of Uhud, near the mountain of Uhud, and they start the battle. So this is the incident, certainly some of the people, they already was, they wished for martyrdom. So those young people, jealous, they're saying, yes, we're going to go fight, and we'll be shaheed today. For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is our first jihad, and we want to be shaheed. So Allah is saying, you've been encountered, and have you seen it while you were looking on it? Meaning, it's very interesting. Allah is saying, have you seen it when you're looking on it? Meaning, when they went to the battlefield, this young Sahaba, with this, enthusiastic mind, they are looking at what's happening here, the real fight. They saw the real fight, and they were just staring at them. And they just got, and there's two words used here actually, here in Arabic. There's ra'a. Ra'a means, to look at something, and yanzur means to get looking at, but you don't know what you're looking at basically. So they're looking at the fight, and they got actually scared inside themselves. So what's happening now? This is the real fight. Although they have wished for martyrdom beforehand. In this next ayah, Allah is saying, this is the famous ayah. If you remember, when the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when we discussed the last part of the Surah, and we talked about this one. And this is the ayah that Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu recited. What is this ayah? This ayah said Muhammad is not the messenger. Is not but a messenger. Rasulullah is a messenger. وَمَا مُحَمَّدًا إِلَّا رَسُولًا قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ بِالرَّسُولِ. Meaning he is only a Rasul, nothing but a Rasul, and there are a lot of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam before that. And they came and they passed away. And remember, if you remember, when Rasulullah passed away, Umar radhiyallahu anhu, he got crazy. He couldn't take this one, and he took his sword and he said, whoever said the Rasulullah passed away, I will chop his head off. And then Abu Bakr rushed from from his house, because he was not in the city on that day, and he came back and he saw the situation, and then he went to the mimbar and he stood up and he said this ayah, that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And about this ayah, Umar said that, is it from Quran? As if I feel like this is the first ayah, the first time I'm hearing this ayah. and then after that Abu Bakr said, whoever is to worship Rasulullah sallallahu, let him know that Rasulullah is not anymore, but whoever is worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ever living, is Hayyul Qayyum, he is always there. So this is the ayah that's saying here, and also Allah is mentioning it because what happened in Uhud. There is a rumor in the group of the people that Rasulullah has passed away. Rasulullah has passed away because he got attacked, and actually some of the narrations said Rasulullah got unconscious, by the attack of on his jaw and on his forehead, that he was unconscious. So some of the people, some of the groups said he passed away, and then the believers lost all their hopes and everything. But Allah is saying that even if he is a Rasul, and a lot of Rasul came and went by, so even if you go, are you going to leave Islam? Are you going to leave Islam because he is not there anymore? And then Allah is saying here, and it is not possible for one of the died to accept. So Allah is saying here, look, even if if someone is dying or someone is not dying, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we get whoever desires and reward the hereafter. And Allah is saying here that if someone wants to die for shaheed and get the reward, he will get it as according to his intention. But if someone wants to get something from the dunya, Allah will also give the intention from here. But at the end, Allah is saying Allah reward the grateful. Sakirin is the grateful. In the next two ayah also we will see that there are two other qualities mentioned. So Allah said the people who are grateful, they will get the reward inshallah ta'ala in hereafter. The next three ayahs is about a historical fact, because Allah said before what? They know Rasulullah is nothing but a Rasul, and lot of Rasul has came before. Now Allah talking about a group of people who came before and fight with the other prophets. So just like a historical fact Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us, Allah is saying, look, previous prophet also has their followers, they also fight, but they didn't get weak like they also had defeat. From sometimes they got defeated, but their iman was strong. And how the iman was strong? Their only words when they used to have this kind of situation, they used to make a dua that oh Lord, forgive us and forgive our sins and the excess in our affairs and plans. Make our feet steadfast so that we can fight for the and save us from the Qaum al-Kafirin, save us from the disbeliever. So this is the dua for the previous people, the previous prophet and the people who follow those prophets. And so Allah gave them the reward of this world and also the good reward of the hereafter. So this world also they get honor, they get the hidayah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also they get an award in hereafter. And then Allah saying, Allah loves those who doers of the good, meaning Allah loves who are muhsin. So Allah said first in the ayah of 145, Allah says as-sakirin, then Allah says as-sabirin, because the previous people when they had a defeat like the battle of Uhud, they were sabirin, they're patient, and then at the end, as a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they became muhsinin to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this 3 ayahs, Allah is saying to the believer, oh ya ayyuhallazina amanu, if you obey those who disbelieve, they will. So basically this is talking about some of the group of the people, they said, what's happening to the camp of Makkah, what happened after the battle of Makkah. And Allah saying, if you listen to them, if you follow like what the kuffar is doing, then you will not be guided. And then he's saying Allah, so Allah is giving them an encouragement, basically. Look, don't think like that. Whatever they had in Battle of Badr, they lost a lot of their people, they cried, but they're still in the path for the shirk. So, don't be like them. Rather, think that Allah is your Mawla. And as we say, Mawla means Allah is the protector. Allah is the protecting friend. So Allah is saying, whatever happening with you now, you lost your companions here, but still remember that you are not like those people. Allah is not Mawla for those, but Allah is Mawla for you guys. And then Allah is saying, for those people who are still in the path of shirk, after the battle of Badr also, they are still in the same path they used to follow. I will give them a terror inside their heart. A fear will come and overlap their heart, because they are still following the path of their own desire. So as in they are still doing the shirk, they are still doing idol worship and everything. Okay, these 4 ayah I didn't put the Arabic because these are a very big ayah, because each ayah is talking about an incident. We'll quickly go through this. The first ayah is talking about that Allah has fulfilled your promise. Meaning, remember last week we talked that Allah promised them that He's going to help with the angels. So if Allah help with the angels, how come they are losing now? How come they are losing so many people? Because Allah said, I'm going to help you with 5,000 angels. But Allah is confirming here is, I helped you. I helped you until when you lost courage and failed disputing about the water. So this is the incident happened in the top of the mountain. When Rasulullah instructed them, even if you see us that our dead body is there and the birds is eating from our dead body, still you don't come until we call you to come down from the mountain. But then, and they also had a small group of archers on the top of the mountain, and they had a leader also there. Rasulullah fixed a Amir in there, and they had dispute. And they said, no, we are following the Rasulullah said, we can see we are winning. We are not losing anymore, so we want to go down. And others say, no. He said, stay here, we stay here. So because of that dispute and because they disobey Rasulullah, Allah is saying this is one of the reasons that you got defeated. But in the same ayah, Allah is saying that, I have forgiven you. If you look at the things, Allah says, and He has already forgiven you. So Allah is mentioning their mistakes that have did. But at the same time, Allah is saying, I have forgiven you completely. And Allah is possessor of bounty of belief for the believer. So Allah has the everything for it. The next ayah is another incident. It is the incident is not on the mountain field. It is the incident when Rasulullah is attacked by the people. So when the enemy, the Khalid bin Walid at that time, he attacked the Muslims. It was a chaos between the Muslim group, and Rasulullah also been surrounded by all the other archers and everything. And he got hit in his face, in his forehead, and he was bleeding, and he was asking for someone to protect him. So Allah is mentioning that ayah that He is calling you from the behind. And nobody was there at that time. And Allah is saying here to grieve for that which had escaped you and that which had befallen you. And Allah is acquainted with what you do. So Allah is saying, some of the people that time, they left Rasulullah because they were, scared obviously because the attack was from the behind. So they left Rasulullah not intentionally because, they don't know what to do basically. So Allah is saying, Allah can see whoever is going at that time and what people is doing at that time. And the next ayah is Allah is saying that some people, some munafiqun are still there, and they were saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we had any opinion in that matter. So they are talking about the first decision when Rasulullah said that we want to fight inside from Medina. So some of the group now they are saying, I think that decision was right. Actually the munafiqun was happy with that decision because if they stay in Medina, they didn't have to go to the battlefield. It's not open, but they probably stay in their home or something. So they are saying actually here, they know if we could take part in that decision, we could have changed the decision. And we could have lived, we couldn't have give our life away like this, we are giving life away now. So Allah is saying, listen, even if you stay at home, if it is your destiny to die, you will die. And Allah is saying here, someone, the killer of your own will go and climb up to your house, go inside your bedroom. Basically Allah is saying inside the room of where you're sleeping. And you will be killed. So Allah is saying, every decision comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not, don't be like, regretful for this one. And then Allah is saying that, indeed those who had turned back on the day, two armies made. Meaning Allah is saying that, some of the people who turned back and, left Rasulullah and went away, it is from shaitan. Allah is saying that, because they got scared, and some people, they left Rasulullah and turned back their heels. Allah is saying, Allah is trying to cover them up. Basically, Allah is saying this is from shaitan. Shaitan tried to mislead them and they listen to them. And Allah is saying again here, but as Allah has already forgiven them. And this is the reason after Battle of Uhud, whatever happened, nobody ever talked about those Sahaba that they disobeyed Rasulullah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself said twice, as you can see, twice in this 4 ayah, that I have forgiven them. So who are you to judge them anymore? They have done a mistake, they deserve something to be punished, but because of their intention, because of this is from shaitan, and because of all the circumstances, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared that I have forgiven them. And the last few ayahs for today, Allah is saying, oh who you believe, do not like those who disbelieve and say it about their brothers when they travel through the world. So this is basically saying that some people, especially in the munafiqun and the kuffar group, they said they think it's a very important ayah because they said if they had been with us, we never would died. The same thing. So they are regretting the past, and Allah is saying this regression is not right, because you should always think this is from qadr. As you all know, Rasulullah in other hadith, Rasulullah said, never say, if I could do this, if I could go there, if I was there. You shouldn't talk like this way. We shouldn't, because this is opens the door for shaitan. And Allah is saying in all the decision from qadr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so don't be like those who say like this. And some people has this feeling inside their mind, if I had taken that job, I would have been good. These feelings of regret is also a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned here. Some people all their lifelong they regret for the things that they haven't done. And they didn't look forward. They just hold to the past. And this is Allah saying, this is something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as their punishment, because they are not believing the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah as a punishment give these feelings in their heart that they have this one. Now in ayah number 157 and 158, Allah is saying, if you are killed in the cause of Allah or died. There's two things here, and very beautiful ayah here. First Allah is saying that وَقُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. وَقُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ means what? That you are doing jihad for Allah's path and you die. And then Allah is saying, or die, or normal death. There's two kind of death we are talking about. One is like a normal death, like we can see around us, and some death are the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for both of these, the forgivenesses from Allah and mercy are better than whatever they accumulated. So if a people die in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if a believer die normally, for both this situation, it is much better to go to get the mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go to with a good deeds to hereafter. That's what Allah mentioning here, meaning here that if you are living, sometimes we say, this brother was very good, very pious, but he couldn't enjoy his days. He passed at a very early age. He was only 25 and he was in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's doing a lot of dawah and everything. He was a big sheikh. He's only 35. He's doing lectures and everything. He's Hafizul Quran, but he passed away. If he would lived, he could have served the dunya a lot. We say like this sometimes, but Allah is saying no. Allah has something better for him. That's why Allah took him away. But the condition is you are in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Either you die as a true jihadist, in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you die a normal death, but you are still in the Siratul Mustaqim, that you are in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last ayah Allah said, whether you die or kill. Now this time Allah changed the sequence. Before it was killed or die. Before it was like shuhada and normal death. In the next ayah Allah said, if you die or kill, unto Allah is gathering. So why is Allah saying here, change the word placement? Because the next ayah is talking about in general. And in general, what is happen more? Does people get shaheed more or people die normally more? Obviously people die normally more. Like as you can all see around us, most of the people die as a normal death. Very few people in the time of Rasulullah, they die in the jihad. Yes, maybe some groups are still there. They're really fighting for the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe Allah is accepting them as a shaheed. But we don't know that. So, so in general, most of the people die. So Allah is saying, whatever has been done, they are gathered. They are al-hashr. They are not, they will be gathered. So it doesn't matter how you die. The day of judgment, you will all be gathered in the hashr, as Allah mentioned in the other surah. And that's why Allah giving them the believer a thought about dying, because the Medina was grieving a lot. They have lost a big defeat for the Muslims at that time, and all Medina was crying the whole night, like the Makkah was crying in the last year. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving these ayahs to tell them, look, people who die, even Rasulullah was very sad. Rasulullah was very sad for his uncle Hamza. Hamza was a very close friend, not only uncle, he was a friend to Rasulullah, he was a brother to Rasulullah. And they almost their age is also similar. And some narrations said Hamza was actually 1 or 2 years younger than Rasulullah. So they're very good, and Rasulullah was so sad for him. So Allah is giving all this ayah, and for the other believers, they are in a better place now. They become shaheed, and even if you believe, when a believer dies, they will be in a greater place with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah we'll finish it here. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.